And don't forget to check out howtocollectcards.com, a website I created dedicated to helping collectors of all skill levels build their collections. Feeling like you just don't know where to begin, you don't know what all these different things mean within the hobby, I've created this dictionary and I'm giving it away completely free. It has over 120 terms, all the terms that you need to know to get started collecting cards. We're also offering an advanced training course that is comprised of 17 different parts, everything from learning what cards you should be focused on buying for yourself, what cards are worth, where to buy the cards, when to buy cards to save yourself the most money, how to avoid different mistakes within the hobby that a lot of people make. It's just got everything that you need to be successful collecting cards, so please check that out. We've also got a bunch of new bonus content, and any new content that I create for the training course gets added for free. So if you've bought the course already, you're going to get all that new content, and it's free for life. I'm going to keep adding stuff to it. There's always going to be new content helping everyone. So please check it out. It's really extensive. It's got tons of great information. I think it's going to bring a lot of value to a lot of people. Hey everyone, this is Josh back with Cardboard Chronicles. Today I'm joined by Donald. How you doing, Donald?
I'm doing good, Josh. How you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining me, man. So you watched the last video and you messaged me right after, and messaged me your passion for the hobby and kind of how you had similar views. So I thought, yeah, let's just get another interview real quick up and follow it up and do another one. So today's topics are going to be based on your collection, and you've got some interesting ways to do it. So we'll go ahead and kick it off and have you start and tell us about yourself and your background in the hobby.
Nice, nice. First, I want to say God bless the Bryant family, um, and all the families affected by the tragic accident on 26 January 2020. And shout out to the best league in the world for showing us how to send off a legend. So God bless Black Mamba and his baby girl Gianna. Um, First, again, Josh, thank you for having me. I'm a big fan of the channel, and I love what you're doing for the community and hobby, man. So thank you for having me. And to a couple of the, you mentioned, me watching the last episode, um, kind of inspired me to hit you up and see, if I can get on and share as well, man. Every episode I watched every single one of them since you started. So thank you. I wanted to shout out a couple of guys before we get started. So to Nat, obviously, everybody's in awe of his collection. So shout out to Nat. I appreciate his passion and also for him taking the time to share with us. To Brett, and the crew, his wife Betsy and Jay and Robbie, and all of the people over at PWCC. I want to thank them for what they do, all the doors they're opening and continue to open. And obviously Mike from the last episode, and Nate and Justin and Josh. I watched all those episodes multiple times, so I appreciate those guys. But my name is Donnell Paige. I'm 37 years old. I'm from New Orleans. And I've been in the military since I graduated high school in 2000. I'm married. I have two children, ages 3 and 17 weeks. Um, and like everybody else, Josh, I started off as a kid. I knew who was who, but I didn't know what was what. I can remember being, subscribed to Beckett, uh, running to the mailbox every month. I knew when the magazines were coming at least within a day or two. So I was always waiting for those magazines so I could see what my cars were worth. But I gotta say, I never got real heavy in it. I was more into comic books, at least in my younger years, from elementary school to middle school. I remember the relaunch of X-Men and my dad taking me and my brother to this shop called Bookworm in New Orleans. That's where we got a lot of our comics and sports cards from. Um, and that didn't last long. Again, elementary school, middle school. By the time I got to high school, it was all about sneakers. I jumped into sneakers, and when I say sneakers, I mean Jordans. Uh, and that probably lasted about 17 years for me with sneakers. And it got to the point where I'm buying all kind of limited edition sneakers that weren't released in stores, and things like that. And as I got older, I got more involved in investing. And I just I realized that yes, collecting sneakers is cool, but I just couldn't justify it any longer, spending tens of thousands of dollars a year on sneakers. And my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, she bought me my first piece of memorabilia. So I'm an autograph guy first, because that was the very first thing I got into in 2013. So things like this. If I could show you a piece, I don't have a lot of it with me. Being that I'm in the military, I obviously travel a lot, so I don't keep a lot of that stuff with me. So we're getting ready to retire here soon, and I have everything in storage in Florida. But I do have a couple pieces here with me. I'll show you one. So here's a upper deck authenticated gift box. This is how a lot of memorabilia is packaged. Here's a piece here. It's a Kobe Bryant Three-Peat official game ball. If you see here, you can see the Three-Peat stamp, and it's limited there. And you see the Kobe Bryant in upper deck authentication. So this right here was my very first way of collecting.
But your wife bought you that one?
No. So my wife bought me my very first piece. It was a 97, 98 Michael Jordan repeat three-peat jersey.
Okay.
I wish I had this stuff here to show you, man. My memorabilia collection is actually a lot better than my card collection. But anyway, fast forward a couple years, I ended up acquiring all the first edition Michael Jordan memorabilia, at least the ones I wanted. So starting back in '92, when Michael Jordan signed with Upper Deck Authenticated, and they started this whole craze with authenticating autographs, I went through and got all his playing day stuff. So I ended up getting molten gold basketball in commemoration of them winning the gold medal for the '92 Olympics. So it has Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and Magic Johnson's signature. So I said, "Oh, I want the whole dream team, Dave. I got to get the whole dream team." But come to find out, the dream team, they all weren't signing with Upper Deck. So I said, "Man, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna get the whole dream team signature if they're not signed with Upper Deck or any of the other reputable authenticators out there, right?" So I said, "You know what? What if I got their cards? And what if I surrounded the ball with their cards? And I would have the whole dream team," because I was just a big Michael Jordan collector, and come to find out, Michael Jordan rookie card. Where's mine? So MJ's rookie was, hold on one second.
Nice. Piece of 10. Yep, got it.
So MJ's rookie at the time, man, Josh, I couldn't tell you how much it was. I don't remember, but I just know I was like, what? Like, how much that? Because I didn't know anything about cards, right? But I could easily see once I started looking the cards up, okay, it goes 1 through 10. Okay, I see PSA, I see BGS, and then I saw, some of the other brands that I could tell weren't recognized. So, I could tell that, okay, it's BGS or PSA. And obviously, when you look, you're going to look for the best So I'm looking and I'm like, how much does this cost? It might have been, I don't know, 12,000, 13,000 at the time. It was a while ago, a little while ago. So I said, no way. I said, well, wait. And then obviously the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, um, Dr. J, um, which, you're not even going to find in the PSA 10, but maybe, once a year or something around there. Is that
And
good?
yeah, that's great. A 9 in that one is very respectable. 10 is like those are
Right.
crazy. Yeah,
They're crazy. I mean, you're talking about spending,
100,000.
100,000 or more now.
Yeah.
But so that's not attainable for me. So anyway, I said, well, I already have Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and Magic Johnson's signature on the ball, so I'm gonna just get the other 8 players or the other 9 players, and that's how it started. Um, from there, I went on to my very first collection, or my very first purchases were the Dream Team. So I was able to, if you don't mind me showing them real quick, um, I was able to go and get the entire Dream Team. And I have a story about this card and how this card makes my list. Obviously, because Christian Laettner was on the Dream Team, he makes the list. But just real quick,
That guy's forgotten on that team a lot. Chris Mullen.
oh my goodness, the one of the first sharpshooters, right?
Yep. Barkley. Just talk as you're showing stuff so that the camera focuses on you.
Yeah, so this was the very first thing that I did with cards. So my first card purchase ended up being actually 3 years after my wife bought me that first piece of memorabilia. So around Christmas time, 2016, was my very first card purchase. So started in the hobby in 2013, just about 2014, and got my first card in 2016.
Awesome. That's an awesome entrance into the hobby, and I really like how you started. And first of all, I wanted to say, thank you for your service in the military. It's nice to have a collector in the military join the podcast. So I'm excited to have you on for that reason,
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. Thank you for the acknowledgement.
and excited to hear about your upcoming retirement. That's exciting.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm having a bunch of surgeries right now, so just trying to get healthy before I um, start in my next life.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
know I speak for me and all my viewers that we thank you for that. Um, so when you messaged me the other night, I was super interested because just like the story you kind of told me of how you built your collection, and you've already kind of dove into it a little bit. But why don't you jump into just kind of like what you're after and like how you're building this collection and what you're kind of focused on?
Okay, so above all, I love the game of basketball. Um, I've watched and played, as I said, since I can remember. It's therapy for me, Josh. Like it keeps my mind right. You know, I actually met my wife playing ball. She had a D1 scholarship to West Point. Played in Madison Square Garden against Maya Moore, the whole nine. So she's a hooper. We both love to not only watch the game but play the game. We're both fanatics. But just the way I ended up building the collection is just based on the love I have for the game and the history of the game. I think about like a pyramid, like you start playing basketball in grade school, and you go up, and you make it to college, the ones that do make it, and then from there you make it to the NBA, the ones that do make it, and you just make it to the tip of the spear. When you think about, this is the highest degree of competition in your sport. And on top of that, you you know you're playing at this lowercase g god level, and you're dominating your contemporaries for an extended period of time, i.e. LeBron James, right? And I mean, just think about that. Like, to me, that's just the true definition of greatness. When you think about what these guys do and the level they do it at, you think, and when we watch them, it just seems like, oh, a guy like, I don't know, Patrick Beverly. You're like, Patrick Beverly, like, he just knows how to defend, like, whatever. But think about that. Like I just saw this thing yesterday. Patrick Beverly averaged almost 40 points a game in high school. And think about now in the NBA, he probably doesn't even average 10.
He's not even,
So,
yeah, he doesn't even score.
right. So think about the level that these other guys have to be at for Patrick Beverly, who averaged 40 points in high school, to averaging what me and you just said, almost nothing in the pros. So think about, when you think about a guy like, LeBron, or, some of the guys from the past. Like, I look at, John Stockton, and, this card is just a couple $100. But I look at this and say, man, this guy is the all-time leader in steals and assists. He was dominating the game at his position for a decade, right? And he made it to 2 NBA finals, and the only reason he didn't win one because he ran into we know who, you know, and for us not to, appreciate this more, in my opinion, is just it's about this for me. It's about the person for me more than it is the card. So that's first. That I love the game. I love the history of the game. I love the players. I love the debate basketball. I love the shows. I love the articles. I love the list. I love it all. I love it all, Josh. So the design, to answer your question, my bad. I didn't answer the question.
No, I skipped the first topic. I got a little too excited.
No. It's cool. So again, I love cards. I love memorabilia. I love even the investment side of it. I love the design. To figure out of these millions of cards out there, how do I do what I want to do, and look at it and say this is perfection? How do I do that? But above all, I love the game. It's ball is life. Me and my wife say, it's more than a hobby. We love the game of basketball, but the design. So to get into your question, the design, it keeps me thinking. It gives me a razor sharp focus. And the design is just as important as the cards for me. It's the perfect collection definition. The way I collect, in my opinion, for me, because it never ends. It'll only get better. So in 1997, I'm watching the NBA All-Star game. I think I'm in the 10th grade. Maybe I'm a freshman. When is the All-Star game? Like, I think I'm a freshman in high school, and I'm watching the All-Star game, and they were commemorating the NBA's 50th anniversary. And they did this by bringing out the 50 greatest players of all time. And obviously they had compiled the list in 1996, but in the 1997 All-Star game is when they brought all the players out. And this list was put together by all the great basketball minds of the time, coaches and executives and general managers and media, and they came up with this list. And Josh, when I saw 50 years of basketball on that court, bro, it did something to me. I mean, I've always loved like building and collecting things, whether it was Legos or puzzles, or me and my dad would do model cars and things like that. I love seeing all the little pieces and it coming together to make something. So seeing that, it did something to me, and that number always stuck in my head, 50, as it stuck, in the whole basketball world. Like that number is synonymous with basketball, right? Like you always see people doing their 50 greatest players. I mean, even to this day, Undefeated did a remix a couple years back. Bleacher Report just put one out last year. They're always redoing these 50 greatest players. And matter of fact, my dad, um, he actually bought me the book, and after that, like this is the exact book that he bought me back then. So I
I had that
still
book as a kid. I had it. I remember that book.
right.
I had that book.
So yeah, Josh. So that always stuck with me, man. And so I say, so what's the perfect design? What's the perfect way to collect? I definitely knew, obviously, from my story that I wanted to collect from the game's perspective, not just from me saying, oh, I like this person, or I like that person, or I like this brand or whatever it is. Like, no, I wanted to collect from the game's perspective. So I said, why not collect the way the game rewards? The NBA awards format. So there's 3 All NBA teams, there's 2 defensive teams, there's 2 rookie teams, there's an Eastern Conference, Western Conference All-Star team, there's a skill challenge, a dunk contest, a 3-point shootout. There's end of the year awards. We know them: MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved Rookie, Executive Coach, and then there's a USA basketball team. So I said, you know what? That's the way I'm going to do it. And yeah, so that's the design. And what do I collect? I only collect rookie cards, and I only collect PSA. I don't know how that happened. I for whatever reason, that's where I gravitated. It was unconscious. I knew nothing about collecting cards, but I gravitated to PSA, and I gravitated towards rookie cards. I don't know. It's something about looking in the eyes of the players on the cards. If you could see their eyes, knowing that, man, did you know you were going to be an all-time great? Did you know? So looking at the rookie cards is just like, man, like, look, I look and I see Dirk, right? I see Dirk and I say, Dirk, did you know? Like, look at how goofy Dirk looks. And like, Dirk, did you know who you were gonna be, Dirk? I have Dirk as my second team. He's on my All NBA second team. As second greatest power forward of all time, in my opinion. A lot of people say Karl Malone. A lot of people say Kevin Garnett. Some people may say Charles Barkley, but to me, it's Dirk. I mean, when you beat Kobe coming off a championship, coming off a back-to-back championship, and you beat Kobe in the playoffs, and then you beat the King when he was saying not 2, not 3, not doing that. I'm like, hey man, Kevin Garnett didn't win a championship on his own. He had to go team up with Paul Pierce and Ray Allen, and Charles Barkley and Karl Malone didn't win none. I mean, they ran into the GOAT, but still, Dirk did it. So I got Dirk right behind Tim Duncan. I wish I had my Tim Duncan here, but it's at PWCC. Should be here in a couple weeks. But
I'll kind of like scroll the list over the video, as we're doing this, so people can see, kind of as you're talking and see some of these names. But yeah, you've got some, obviously, all the big names in the NBA, and it seems like you're very specific about which card you're picking. You're picking kind of like the main card that most people know about. Can you talk about that? Like, how do you pick which of their rookie cards?
So that's the investment side of it. I didn't want to, make the list, just from a fanatic's perspective and say, oh, let me just go out and get a card just to say, I have this player's card. So I research as much as I know how to, kind of like Mike got me on here, Josh. So, Mike, how he had no footprint, or no, social media. I'm the same as you see on my Instagram. If you look at it, I only have the one, that one post, So I don't have a Facebook or anything like that. So again, like Mike, I'm just on eBay. And that's why I think PWCC, because they took a lot of the um what's the like having that, man, is this real? I don't really know what's going on. They took a lot of that away for me at least years ago. Now I feel a little bit more comfortable about what I'm doing. But um yeah, that was just the investment side of it, is try my best to get the best, and research and look at lists on, what the community think the best card, for that year was, or for that player is, and if I could afford it, I would try my best to acquire it. And, I'm patient. Like I say it's chess, it's not checkers. Like I'm not in a rush. I look at the pop, on PSA, and I say, okay, well, the cards are out there. So, I just have to wait, and I wait. But with some cards, Josh, I have to say it is preference. Like I prefer Upper Deck just because my first love was the memorabilia, which, I have 95% of my memorabilia is Upper Deck authenticated. So use like the Curry and Harden, for example. Um, if you could see, is that good?
Yep.
So I have these two, but I feel like, or at least when I look at the auction archives, I can see that the top chrome refractors are held in higher regard, at least from a financial standpoint, than the exquisite. But for me, I'm like, man, I would rather an on-card autograph any day. Like they touched the cards. You know what I mean? Like Curry, he touched that card to sign it. Harden touched that card to sign it. So for me, I would much rather the autograph. And then obviously there's the national treasures out there that Panini, Panini, it goes back to the memorabilia. With the memorabilia, Upper Deck is so ahead of Panini, in my opinion, that in the beginning I didn't even pay attention to Panini because I love Upper Deck. So um, I know that their national treasures are out there. The Curry is probably unattainable for me, at least in the Gem Mint 10. Not probably, it is. But I could get the Harden, but I don't like to break. Like if I have two cards of the same year, I want them to be the same card. I want them to be the same brand from the same set, if that makes sense. So yeah, I just pay attention to guys like you, guys like the guys on your shows, and just try to when I hear something, I'll go and Google it and look it up and say, oh, that's what he's talking about, or whatever, and then from there I just try to pick some of the best cards.
Um, I keep thinking of like, I keep going back to like the military. It just feels like, did the military have some sort of like, um, um, did they help you build this collection anyway? Like it just feels very structured and organized, and maybe you picked up some things from the military into your life today where you like that structure. It just, is that, am I onto something there?
Yes. As a kid, my mom would say, "Oh, you used to make your bed up before you went to school." This is elementary school. She was like, "You vacuumed your floor every day." Like I was like, "What's wrong with my son?" My mom would tell me that kind of stuff, right? So I mean, I'm like, by nature, I have like OCD or something. I don't know. But the military definitely. I mean, when it comes to discipline, standards, organization, accountability, responsibility, it I don't know if the military um, gave me those things, but they definitely, honed the skills,
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely, 100%, 100%, yeah. Even
Well,
things like centering. So I remember as a kid with my cards, I thought that the corners were most important. As a kid, it was like, oh man, my corners are sharp. I remember me and my friends, we would trade cards, and I would say, no man, I'm not trading you this player for that player. Like, look at your ends, on your card. So to me, when I first got in the hobby, I thought that the ends were everything. But, I realized that it was I believe centering, right? Centering is like, the most important. So, I look for that centering, when I go to get, especially, these older cards and ones like this. Like I try to make sure that, I have that 50-50 centering, left to right, top to bottom. But yeah, Josh, you're right, man. The military definitely helped me out. Shout
How
out to the.
many? Sorry, yeah. So on your list, how many are you missing? Like, because you said you talked about patience, and I would assume that as you're going, you're maybe upgrading some of your grades as you go, trying to get closer to tens. But like, how do you balance, this like marathon race that you have with it is a very finite list, and you could potentially finish it kind of quickly. So how are you like spacing this out and timing it, and how far are you?
Right. So right now I have 42 of the 50. Um, I have 38 here with me. I have 4 cars at PWCC. I have, me and you spoke. I have the LeBron SP8 in the Gem Mint 10. I won that in auction one, I believe. I think it was auction one. But I had the SPX and the 10. Funny story behind that. I don't mean to get away from your question, but so the SPX, the rookie, the reason I got it, it was before I really understood, what was the best card, what was uh, I didn't really understand that. But what I did understand was LeBron autographs. So the autograph on the LeBron SPX, I can tell was one of the first because that was his, like the way he signed in high school. So that's why I gravitated to that card because I say, oh, this was probably the first one. This was probably his first rookie, so at least autograph rookie. So I grabbed that some years back. But the SPA is with PWCC. My Chris Paul, I have an ultimate um, gold parallel, which is a pop one right now. Gem Mint 10 with PSA. They have my Tim Duncan refractor, Gem Mint 10, and I have a Luca that I actually want to ask you a question about, at some point during the interview to get your opinion. But anyway, so I have 42 of the 50. And so it took me 3 years yeah, 3 years to get to this point. And like you said, I could get there pretty quickly, but it'll never stop because there's always ways to upgrade. There's always players that's gonna replace other players, and that's the part that makes me respect and appreciate the collection. Example, just this year, 2 of my players got replaced. So Kevin McHale I had as my reserve power forward on my Eastern Conference All-Star team. And we all know Kevin McHale, I believe 2-time Sixth Man of the Year, 3-time champion, multiple-time All-Star, All-Defensive Player, All-NBA player, maybe once or twice. But this guy is coming, the Greek Freak. Josh, the Greek Freak is here. So I had to grit my teeth. I had to let Kevin McHale go. He was replaced by the Greek Freak.
So did
So
you sell Kevin McHale? Do you sell
I,
the card?
I had to sell it.
Okay.
He can't stay. Josh, he didn't make the cut. Kevin McHale, you weren't good enough, man. He needs a DeLorean to go back in time and step his game up. He couldn't stay. So same thing happened with Big Game James. They traded Kawhi Leonard from the Spurs to the Raptors, and in one season he went and won another championship, another MVP. Big Game James, Western Conference Reserve. You gotta go. Because Kawhi Leonard is here. He spent most of his time in the West. He's back in the West. Big Game James, he needed DeLorean too. Finals MVP, 4-time champ, multiple-time All-Star, couple times All-NBA. I get that, but Kawhi Leonard is a better basketball player. So he got replaced as well. So there'll always be movement. There'll always be better cards to get, like the Curry. You know, I may wake up one day and say, man, you know what? I need to get the Topps Chrome Refractor. I don't know. I don't think I'll say that, but maybe when I look at ROI, when I look at archives and see, man, this card is just climbing the charts, and part of this for me, is investment. That's the beauty of it, is that I love the game more than all, but I still look at it from that investment standpoint as well. So, yeah, Josh, I mean, you're right that I could finish fairly quickly, but there'll always be something to do, especially with these older cards. When I look at, if I was to, this is probably a bad example, but when I look at the Doctor, um, I think there's only one Gem Mint 10 out there, so this is probably a bad example. Maybe a better example would be the Oscar Robertson. One day I'll just say, hey, let me go and get a 9, even though that 9 is going to cost me $25,000. That'll just be the goal, to say, hey, save up your money, and when this car pops up, shoot your shot and see what happens.
Man, it's such a different way to collect than kind of the modern Panini way of just kind of like, it just seems like there's just so much buying and selling going on. So it's very interesting to hear someone talk about, methodically, like slowly picking cards up one by one and only looking for the best grade, and it has to be uniform. So I completely appreciate the way you're doing it. So kudos to you for sticking to this. I love it.
Thank you.
So you've been touching on the investment stuff a little bit. Why don't you talk about kind of how this works into your overall investment strategy?
So like me and my wife, like, I mean, we love investing. And we even call the cars orange diamonds. Like, these are, these are we want these to be a big part of our net worth. So, like you say, we want the best grades. We want the best cards, and I'll be patient as I have to be, to acquire them. And it helps because, I mean, we're not rich. So, I mean, it takes time to save the money up. So, it works out fine. For example, that the SPA, LeBron. So, do you know that? Did you see that SPA that just sold yesterday?
Yeah, 40,000.
So I look at the one that I got just last month or the month before last, or whenever it was, and it's like, what? Like, that's crazy. It jumped that much just from when I purchased mine. I don't know. I think that auction may have ended in January. But I look at that and I say, wow. And for me, it's about the card, but I don't think I care. Like if everything was to bottom out, it's just a risk that I'm willing to. It doesn't matter to me. Like if everything just fell apart with cards, and I had my 50, I would be happy. Like, I'll be like, man, we spent a lot of money and these cards aren't worth nothing anymore, but whatever. Like, I got them. You know what I mean? Like, I would still be happy. So um, me having like me having this card right here, right? Or a better example is these two right here, Josh. So me having these two cards, right? I got a Dennis Johnson and I got a Joe Dumars. So this is my second team all defensive point guard, and this is my second team all defense shooting guard. So Michael Jordan was asked a question at one of his camps some years ago, and without hesitation, I mean, it took him a millisecond to answer the question. Who was the who was the guy that gave you the most trouble? Who guarded you the best? Who was the best? Who played the best defense on you? Joe Dumars. So to me, this card being $100 or whatever this Joe Dumars card is, or this Dennis Johnson being a couple $100, or this Gary Payton, who is the best perimeter defending point guard of all time. This is the number one point guard defender in the history of the game. And I don't think anyone out there would even refute that. This card is like $30, but it means just as much to me as my Jordan rookie does, you know, or my Kobe rookie, you know, for that matter. And these are my most expensive cards. But it doesn't matter if the card is $30 or $30,000 because it's about the players. It's about the game first. So yes, you know, I don't want, you know, I don't want anyone to get that twisted that, oh, you know, it's about money. It's not. That's just a part of it. But yes, quality over quantity. That's me. You know, I prefer to, you know, look at a minimum amount of things than I do a whole bunch of things. You know, if someone said they had a card collection of 1,000 cards, and someone told me they had a collection of 100 cards, I'm more curious about, man, what 100 cards? You know, what 100 cards do you have? So just personally, you know, I'd rather have 50 all-time great players rookie cards than 500 cards of one or two players. A player doesn't do it for me. The game does. The players do, and the history and the story behind, you know, these 50 cards, that's gonna always evolve. That's always gonna change. The story and the history behind it is unparalleled in my opinion. You know, when you look at all the eras and all the different aspects of the game, offense, defense, athleticism, skill, marksmanship, IQ, mentality, the on court stuff, right? The off court stuff. You know, when you think about what this guy did for the game, you know, coming in and bringing culture, you know, different cultures to the game. And then you think about the old school guys like Bill Russell and Will Chamberlain and the things they went through, like these, and then you see what they went through to where we are now. You know, the history and what the cards represent is just, it's just, you know, it just does something for me to say, man, you got the whole history in these 50 cards. Like, that's just crazy to me. I love
And you got me all excited about all this stuff.
it.
We're just like, you know, I interview a lot of people, but you know, some guys just get me more jazz than others, and I think you're just touching on some really like key emotional things about the hobby and what makes the hobby popular. And it's you know, recently it's been more like the money, and it almost feels like a gold rush right now. But you're kind of getting back to like why we initially liked cards, and it's really like the connection to the game and the players and the history and the stories. So I think it's really important that people see this and understand, like, you know, there's a reason that cards are popular, and it's not just because they're valuable. You know, they're valuable because we like them.
Right.
So it's kind of like the full circle there that everyone needs to understand.
I agree.
Um,
100%. 100%.
um, so you have a lot of experience with. It seems like you've been doing it a long enough time that you've got some experience in the memorabilia game, the card game. Have you thought about, you know, now that especially that you're going into retirement, is there some, like, after you kind of hinted at it, is there some things you can do going forward with this? Maybe to make a business out of it, or something like that?
Yes. I really want to, but I mean, I'm a little, I don't want to use the word afraid, but afraid, I think is the right word, because so I went to school for business, and you know, one of my concentrations, or my concentration, was small business management and entrepreneurship. And I don't think that my business plan is a wise one, you know, because I only want to focus on basketball. Like, I just want, you know, I want to shop. Part of me wants brick and mortar, but I understand that e-commerce is probably, not probably, well, I mean, probably the better way to go. But it's just that what I want in a shop makes me want a brick and mortar, because, you know, I would love to just have a spot where people can come and enjoy the game of basketball and also make purchases. Like, I would love to host, you know, have game nights and, you know, charge a small admission, maybe. And, you know, for you to be able to have a a meal, or at least, I was about to say a snack, but maybe not a snack, but whatever. Like for you to be able to come through and enjoy the game, have some nachos, have some popcorn, have a brewman at the same time. Say LeBron have his career high. He tops his 61 points and he goes for 70. And I would love for you to be able to turn around and say, Pete, hey man, let me get that UDA Lakers LeBron. I want that home jersey. That's the one he got on right now. Let me get that one. How much that one costs? Or for a rookie to just go off. You got Luka in his second year. You got Jason Tatum shining right now, or you got Zion, or whoever, and they have some type of career thing where they did something Michael Jordan did at 20 or whatever it is, and you say, hey, let me get a box of that Prism. A Luka rookie might be in there, or I'm sorry, a Zion rookie might be in there, or a John Moran or whatever. I would love for you to be able to be in the place and enjoy the game and debate the game, and at the same time be able to make a purchase. And it just brings the whole community together. At least whoever's in the area, hey man, come by the shop and let's do it. So I would love to do something like that. And I started on the business plan. I just don't know, because it's just basketball. It's just basketball. How would that work? Just the basketball aficionados in my immediate area, I would say, within an hour maybe, people would be willing to travel to the shop, and I just don't know how good of an investment that would be. But yeah, I don't
So
know.
you got some time to noodle on it. I think you should contact like the NBA, partner
I
with
know,
them, and be
right?
like, look at this collection I've built, like your guys' history in card form in perfect
Right,
PSA 10 format. Like, let's feature this thing.
I know, right? My wife took me to the Hall of Fame for my 34th birthday, I believe, 35th birthday, maybe, I don't know. And I mean, I was in heaven. And I'm looking at stuff, Josh. I'm like, man, y'all didn't do this right. I'm like, man, why y'all got a Shaquille O'Neal Magic? Where's the Shaquille O'Neal Lakers jersey? Like, what are y'all doing? It was so many things I saw where I'm like, man, y'all need to have me in here curating this thing. What y'all doing?
You're taking notes, like, come on, guys.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, man, y'all doing this all wrong.
So there you go. Maybe there's a spot for you, like curating and building out museums for the NBA.
Yeah, man. I mean, something got to shake. So, I mean, I'll have a whole lot of time on my hands. I don't plan on doing too much, in retirement. I definitely want to, do something in the entrepreneurial lane. So, I definitely got to figure. I got a little time, so I'll figure something out.
So while I have you, just because of this week, what's going on? What do you think of the whole like price explosion?
So I see your posts, and especially with the Luka Doncic, you said one went for 15 and then it sold for under 10. I'm glad this came up. So I got a question for you, because I don't know anything about Panini. I mean, I see it, but I don't quite understand. I noticed the Giannis prisms just went crazy. Like I was looking at some of the archives on PWCC, and I mean the reds and the greens and silvers. I don't even think they were called silvers back then, but they were going. I mean, they were going for hundreds of dollars. That's it. I mean, this is literally like a year, 2 years ago, and now they're like 7, 8, 9, 10. You rarely even see the silver prisms. Again, I don't think they're called silver prisms back then, but the silver prism version, you don't even see it that much anymore. And they go for so much, and I'm like, man, I don't understand prism at all. So I have a Luca that I'm able to get, a Luca blue. But this whole rainbow thing, it kind of, I don't know if I like that. What do you? I'm gonna answer your question, but I want to ask you, like, what do you think about the all of the different colors and in the price points of the? Because I understand that they're limited, as the colors go. But what you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, just like hearing you talk about how you're approaching it. Like, I feel like you'd want to be a little bit more creative than just grabbing a silver, because like literally you could buy one at any moment, anytime. There's just so many of them. So
Right.
like getting a little bit more creative with like, oh, getting the blue to match his jersey color. It's a little bit more rare. You might need to spend a little bit more time getting it. But even like the blue out of 199 PSA 10s, they're like multiple $1,000s. And it's like, it just, I don't know. It just seems really high. And you're talking about PSA 10s of like all these legends that you're picking up for less than a blue prism of a guy that just started. It just, the way that you're building the collection and you're curating it, I don't see the need for you to get ahead of yourself and jump into that pool and spend your money there just yet.
Gotcha.
I'd be patient with it. I would be patient.
I appreciate that. So to answer your question on the prices, I don't care. Like I mean, if it's a card like when I got my Dirk, um, I saw. I think this is like a pop 12. It's somewhere around there, and I saw one sale on PWCC maybe I don't know last month or the month before last, and it was a couple $100. No, actually, it was like $1,000. Maybe not quite $1,000 less than I paid for mine. I didn't quite understand that, but I was like, whatever. I mean, I don't really care because I'm so particular about the cards that when they pop up, I just feel like I have to get it. So whatever it goes for, it goes for. I try to allot, money for this, so that's what it's for. So if a card pops up that I need, then you know I'll just get it. I mean, I've made, let me not say made, but I mean some of these cards, I purchased them years ago, and I mean they're double what I paid for them or more. So I feel, if I have to pay, 1,000 or 2,000 or $3,000 over what the car went for last time it sold, then that's fine. I'll hold these cards, until I pass. Hope, hopefully my girls are into it, and I'll say, "Hey, baby, here y'all go."
Yeah,
You know, yeah. So I mean, I don't plan on selling them unless they're replaced.
of course,
When they're replaced, they gotta go. But
of course.
yeah. So I don't care about I don't care about the prices.
Um, I had something. Yeah, I was just gonna ask, kind of like, I was gonna ask you about like Luca and what you think about these new guys. Like, obviously, they're not in your top 50. They're not like 50 greatest of all time. They just started, so you're gonna be patient on those anyways. So, like, I guess what's like your advice to someone coming in that's looking to collect and not necessarily like flip and make money? What do you say to the person who's like, I just want to collect? Like, what advice have you picked up over the last few years? Because you may not have a lot of experience in Panini, but you have a great curated collection, right? And you can speak to how to build a collection. What advice do you have?
Right. So, obviously to each his own. I mean, there's going to be people that watch this that say, what? That's crazy, So um, I think what you said, be patient. We don't want to, you don't want to get hit in the head and guys end up, being busts. I mean, that that's the greatest advice in my opinion is just be patient. But on the flip side to that, the just the way the game is now, I mean, these cards are off the bat 20, 30, 40, $50,000, if you're looking at, especially NT, or, and then you take a step down. What's the step down? Flawless, right? If you're looking at flawless and you're looking at some of these top brands, I understand why people are paying the prices they're paying prospecting, uh, just, oh man, if it's this much now, it's going to be this much later and things like that. Like I get that, but I can't do that. What I mean? I couldn't spend, all of that money for a guy that has shown me nothing. Again, I'm a fanatic for the game of basketball, but when I watch these guys, I say, yeah, man, I've seen this before. You look at Blake Griffin. You know, Blake Griffin had one of the best rookie years of all time, even though his rookie year was the sophomore year, but he had one of the best rookie years of all time. And look at Blake Griffin now. You know, when you look at players like, I don't know, you look at players like, and this is to a lesser degree because cards didn't cost this much back then. But when you look at players like T Mac, you know, or you look at players like Penny Hardaway, you know, what if these kind of things happen to Zion? You know, where Tracy McGrady, even though he still ended up being one of the greatest of all time, but he was plagued with injury. You know, he was rivaling Kobe for who was the best player in the league, who was the best shooting guard in the league. And look what happened to T-Mac. By the time T-Mac was 26, 27 years old, he was done. And, you know, you look at Penny Hardaway. Penny Hardaway was on pace to be one of the greatest of all time just in 3 or 4 seasons. People looking at him like, man, this guy's the second coming. Is he Magic? Is he MJ? Even MJ praised Penny before he praised Kobe. Or let me not say praised, but gave him that stamp. Jordan gave Penny that stamp first. But look what happened to Penny. You know, what if that happened to Zion and you paid $50,000, you know, for a card? Like that's crazy. So I could understand doing it for LeBron, and shout out to you with that RPA, Josh. If I had it, man, I did the same thing. Because it's LeBron, you know, it's worth it. Every single penny that you spent on that RPA was worth it. I'm sitting back like this. Like, oh, like that's that boy. Like I was like, he did what? And look, I remember, Josh, I remember videos long ago. I'm watching your videos, bro, and you would shout that card out. But you would shout it out in a way like it'll never happen. Like you'll be like, yeah, I'll leave that to you. Or you would make little comments like, yeah, my dreams are, man, my dream car would be like I remember watching 2 or 3 videos where that car came up and it was like, but then you did it. That's what I'm talking about. But that's worth it because who's LeBron? Arguably the greatest player of all time. You know, that's worth it. But why would you do that? Look at Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum's card his rookie year was I mean, let me not say at a peak, but his cards were so high. Then he had that slump last year and it all went down. And then now he's kind of back up. It's like, just wait. Just wait to see what happens. But that would be my advice, is to just be patient, do your research, be a fan of the game, pay attention to what's going on. You know, look at history. Try your best to project and project from the perspective of the game, not from the hype, not even from the hobby. Because the brands will push out, the media will boast up who they want to be the next coming. So to me, you just gotta pay attention to the game. You gotta sit back and let these guys prove themselves. Let them make all rookie teams. Let them make all-star teams. Let them make all NBA teams, and then make that financial decision. That's just my opinion.
I wish you were holding a mic because you would have to drop it. Those were just really, really eloquently said, and I can't say it any better. And I love this interview. So I kind of want to end on a really high note. If you don't have anything else.
No, Josh. Again, man, thank you for having me. Yeah, I appreciate the time. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Of course, man. Well, I'm gonna get you on Instagram just like Mike, because you guys would be like so accepted, and people will just love having you on social media. I promise you that.
I appreciate it, bro.
All right, we'll talk soon.
All right, man. Peace out.